Hello everyone, my name is Eric Bielman and I'm doing a literary analysis of The Monkey's Paw and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, The Monkey's Paw is about a family of three, Mr. White, Hoover White, and Miss White, and they're in the kitchen having a good time. Mrs. White cleaning, making dinner, yada yada yada, and Mr. White and Hoover White are playing chess. Well, Mr. White loses. Shocking. Well, when he loses, he gets a little upset and gets a little sad. And this is what starts off the monkey's paw of why he gets the paw. Because in a text, his wife's not very interested of why he lost, and she doesn't understand why he feels so bad. And a source shows, perhaps you'll win the next one, that his wife says, and that's not very helping his self-esteem or anything that's going on. So that's why he picks the paw, because he's like, man, I'm getting older. Nothing's interesting is going on in my life. All I do is work, and I can go home every day. I go with my wife. I'm like, we're not doing anything interesting. So he loses, and then a friend comes over. Their friend, Sergeant Major Morris, works for the military, and he travels a lot. Well, he just came back from India, and he talks about his experiences in India, and then Mr. White explains, like, hey, well, I would love to go to India. This sounds like a great place to visit. And then Sergeant Morris just stops him right there, really harsh. He's like, no, you don't want to visit. And he explains why. When he was over there, he got a mummified paw from one of his friends who says it can grant wishes. But when he got the paw, his friend wished for his very last wish that he would kill himself. And Mr. Morris was like, nah, that's not true. So he did it himself and found out that it's right, that this paw takes your wish and turns it around. The reason why it does this is because it's been cast on by a spell by a witch to show that a man or woman cannot mess with fate. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So he talks about the paw, yada yada yada, and he's like, I'm afraid I'm not going to let you do. He's like, shows the family, and he's like, you guys look at the paw, and he's like, I don't want you to do the paw, so he throws it in the fire. Well, Mr. White stops him and grabs the paw real fast. He's like, well, now you have the paw. It's yours. You have to take care of it. It's all up to you. So it shows him how to make a wish. It shows him that like all you do is put it up in the air and say, I wish for a puppy. Well, that's my example. So the family, Mr. Morris leaves, and then the family's like, maybe we should actually do it. And Miss White, from a source from the text, is like, maybe you should wish I had 4 hands so I can get the cleaning done in the house faster, yada, 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 as a joke, just to be funny, because they don't believe the paw works. I mean, it's stupid. How does a mummified paw work? I mean, really? A mummified paw that grants wishes. That's like the dumbest thing I ever heard. But the family's like, well, why don't we play with it? Hoover White is like, hey, Dad, why don't we just wish for something fun? I mean, why not? Like, come on, wish for royalty or something stupid. Come on, try. Why not try? So, Mr. White is like, all right, yeah, you know what to do it. All right. Well, I wish for 200 pounds. They wish for 200 pounds, and lightning happens, and it's like England, and it's like all dark and scary, yada yada, but nothing happens. So they're like, all right, let's go to bed. They go to bed. The next morning, Hoover White goes to work, and he has an accident. He dies. He gets mauled by a machine. His body's ripped in half. Just terrible. His body, limb from limb, he's just gone. Well, one of the managers from the work comes in and says, we're sorry for your loss, but you have a stipend. I was like, well, how much is the stipend? It's like 200 pounds. They're like, wow, that's in shock by what the paw has done. It actually works. Well, when this happens, they get freaked out. It was like, oh my God, we can't use this paw, yada yada. But Miss White is so just destroyed by the son being dead. She's just so sad. It's just like nothing in her life means anything anymore. It's just completely gone. Well, she's like, use the paw. We know it works. Why don't we wish for our son back? So in another part of the text, he wishes for his son back. He says, I wish for my son alive again, Mr. White. And the hand moves and it freaks him out. And he's like, wow, what's going on? And lightning, everything happens, yada yada. Well, nothing happens. The sun's not showing up, nothing. Well, that's it. Then they go on their day, yada yada, they go to bed. Well, at night, you hear knocking on the door, and they hear the son, and it's moving around, and it's like Miss White gets out of bed, she's thrilled. She's like, oh my God, it's Hoover, we get him back, oh my God, like my son, my baby boy, oh my God. Rushes downstairs, and Mr. White's like, no, don't get him. You saw his casket, you saw his body, he's destroyed, he's not going to be the same. I was just trying to make you feel better. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. No, we cannot let him in. That's messing with nature. It's all, oh, we can't do that. Well, they do that, and it's just insane. Everything's insane. So she's rushing down to get the door, and he's trying to find the paw. He's like, I gotta stop this. I cannot let this happen. So he wishes for his third wish, and a source from the text is like, he frantically breathing his third wish and wished for his last death, his last wish, and he wished for death of his son. And when he does that, his wife opens the door, and there's no one there. Well, these sources from the text show that Mr. White was not smart because with the warning from Sergeant Morse that you can't mess with fate. Well, even each one of these wishes showed that he was not smart about what happened because each one of these could be twisted in a different way, and he should have been smarter with the wishes of what he wanted or be more specific of what he wanted. He should have been more specific of like, the 200 pounds, I want it to come from a local lottery or a man of riches. Well, that didn't work out. He lost his son. So that's how everything works out. And that's my question. It was that with fate, you need to be smart about your questions and about everything that's happening because no matter what's going to happen, something bad is going to happen with this paw. Another question of mine was, what happens if Mr. White didn't wish for 200 pounds? What happens if he used something else and maybe Mr. Hubert would be still alive? So that was my questions, and I think I did this correctly, and I hope you guys like my literary analysis, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.